Hello, today I am so excited to have one of my most cherished friends, Sue Groner. I like to tell Sue that she's my most cherished friend. Sue Groner on the show. Sue and I go way back. We raised our children together. We've traveled the world together, but we've really had so many wonderful experiences when our kids were really young. We both just loved almost every minute of it. And so Sue, as an experienced mother, she knows how stressful and overwhelming parenting can be at times. She founded the Parenting Mentor to provide an ally for parents in their quest to raise confident and resilient children. Sue is the author of Parenting 101 Ways to Rock Your World, Simple Strategies for Parenting with Sanity and Joy. And she is a certified positive discipline parent educator. Sue is also the creator of CLEARR, CLEARR method of parenting, developed through years of trial and her fair shares of errors with her own family. CLEARR adheres to the belief that parenting strategies should be grounded in 6 important pillars: communication, love, empathy, awareness, rules, and respect. This has become the cornerstone of her practice as the parenting mentor. A graduate of the Wharton School at the University of Pennsylvania and a former advertising executive, Sue resides in New York City and Bedford, New York, with her husband, 2 children when they are not away at school, and their rescue dog. What's your rescue dog's name? You didn't put it in there.
Nico.
Nico, that's right. Wonderful Nico. She's available for private, group, and virtual mentorship sessions nationwide for individuals as well as corporations. Welcome to the program, dear friend.
Oh, thanks. I've been so excited about doing this with you.
Yes, and I want to mention to the listeners, as you know, this is not a parenting podcast. However, I thought it was really important to bring Sue on, especially with what's going on in the world today, and many parents having their children home, young and older. And as wonderful as we like to talk about it is, there are some stresses with that too. And so let's just dive right in, Sue. So tell us a little bit about you talk about how to talk honestly to your kids about what's going on. And so can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, I think it has to be age appropriate, and that's a sort of an odd thing to say because 4-year-olds run the gamut or 8-year-olds run the gamut, and so
Yes.
the trick is to really understand your child and what they're capable of handling. I mean, I know my daughter, when she was little, she didn't want to know about these big scary things.
Yes.
And she made it really clear. She would, stew about it, and she would constantly think, how is this going to affect me? And how is this going to affect my family? And she would call us at a sleepover and say, is it okay for me to watch this movie? So she was very in touch with how she felt, but as parents, we get to know our kids and what they're capable of handling. And so whenever you talk about something going on, keep that in mind. I think that's really important.
Right.
More than talking about like the ins and outs of coronavirus and that issue, I think it's more important to talk about feelings. And one of the things I like to talk about, and I think is so important for everybody, is normalizing negative emotions. And what I mean by that is, as parents, especially as moms, we have this crazy maternal instinct that says now, it's evolved into this, that we want our kids to be happy all the time, and so the instinct is to protect our kids from feeling sad or disappointed or lonely or frustrated or angry or worried, like whatever those things are. And we jump in to fix it. When we do that, we don't allow them the opportunity to have those experiences of feelings and then learn resiliency. right? And
Yes.
so I'm always like, well, what if instead of saying, I just want my kids to be happy, what if we say, I want to know my kids can handle being unhappy? They can handle frustration and disappointment and all those other, negative things. And if we give them permission to feel the way they're feeling without any fixes, just validating those feelings.
Absolutely. And
Things
that
work.
I was just thinking about that right before you said feelings. I was just thinking about their feelings, validating them. And also I I know that if you try to fix it, then somehow sometimes they internalize that that feeling is bad. They don't like it. They see how you react when they're feeling that feeling, so they kind of stuff it down, and that's, that's not a good thing.
Yeah, and not just like how you react to it, but like every time you try to fix it, they start to internalize the message that this is a bad feeling and I shouldn't be having it. And
Right.
then when I do have it, because the feelings are inevitable, when I do, I start to think there's something wrong with me. I shouldn't have that feeling, which is, I think, a lot of anxiety comes from. Because you
Yes.
double down on like, well, I'm feeling frustrated, but I shouldn't feel frustrated. And what's the matter with me? And now I'm like frustrated and anxious.
Yes, yes. And in terms of that, that's such a great point because little ones do. They have a lot of feel, and I know we were raised in our generation. It's like, you shouldn't feel that way, or and we didn't really mean any, thing bad by it. We didn't think, but feelings are really the touchstone of what's going on in your inner life, and it's so important for a young child, especially whose world is their family, especially, well, their primary caregiver, and just to have them hold those feelings. And you're right, just let them trust them and feel them. Very
and,
important.
and validate them too
Yes.
and say, hey, you know what? I see that you and label them. Like say, it looks like you're really frustrated
Right.
because you can't get, you know, this tower you're building to stay, right? That's really frustrating. Mommy gets frustrated when this happens. Or when you are feeling frustrated, that you say to your child, Mommy's so frustrated right now because I can't find my phone. I've looked
Yes.
everywhere for it. And so the more they start to learn the words, the labels for those feelings, the less they have to act them out also.
Yes.
And then
Yes.
they'll start to come and say, Mommy, I'm really frustrated because. And then you say, well, I get that. Of course, that makes sense that you would feel that way.
Right.
Right. And then, we model how we get out of those feelings. So when later on, I found my phone or I over it, whatever the thing is, or I'm disappointed because I wanted to go out with my friends and I can't now. Or, 2 months ago, my babysitter canceled and now I can't go out. And I will say, wow, I'm so disappointed. I was so looking forward to going out with my friends and now I can't and I have to stay home. Right. And
Right.
that's okay. And then I'm fine. And so, you know, children are now looking at the adults having those feelings and then they see, oh, well, they got over that. It wasn't such a big
Right.
deal. Like, yes. And so be in the moment of those feelings and then they pass. And the more experience you have with those feelings, no matter what they are, the more you get used to the fact like, okay, this doesn't feel great, but it is what it is. And it makes sense that I feel this way. And I know I will get out of this. So
Right.
my thing, like, when you talk about happy, like, what does that even mean? Like it's so hard to explain what happy is. No one's ever
Yes.
like happy all the time. Like, I think happy to me is knowing that no matter what life throws my way, I will get through it. And that's a very good feeling to have.
Right. I think it's also, I'd love to hear what you have to say about this, but just that example you just gave. Um, and wouldn't it be beautiful to say, I'm really disappointed, but then segue, but now, why don't we make some, why don't we go make some homemade cookies together? Maybe segue to know that, yeah, maybe you're disappointed in this, but you can also shift gears and do something else
Mhm.
that makes you feel good inside.
Right. I mean,
Yeah.
not you don't need to fix it,
Right.
but, like, it's the same thing, like, if your kid doesn't get invited to a birthday party,
Oh,
well, yeah, I get disappointed when I don't get invited to a party that I wanted to go to or a function or whatever, and I will say that, but I don't think you wanna go to the place where you say, "But don't worry, we're gonna do something really fun that day."
right, right.
Because
Got
then
it.
that's like saying, "Don't worry, I'm not gonna let you feel that way because you're
Yeah.
gonna do something better," you know?
But how do the children, how do you suggest helping young children process? I mean, I know it's important to feel. For example, I have a girlfriend, I thought this was just brilliant. And then I read about it in a book the other day, where when she had her son was like 2 or 3, and he just couldn't really express himself. He would just really go into sort of some tantrums. You could tell that he was struggling inside. So she put different faces on the refrigerator, like a smiley face and a frustrated
Mhm.
face and a sad face, and she would have him come up and say, show me what you're feeling right now. And for example, if it was angry, she would like give him a pillow and say, just go pound this for a little while. And so try to give him tools, not to necessarily take away the feeling, but to somehow help him, I guess, disperse it a little bit, to make him feel better. What do you think about things like that?
Yeah, I love that. That's something I suggest too, like, to do, like, a strip of faces,
Oh,
and it
really?
could
Yeah.
be yeah, because but it could be, like, super happy, kinda happy, happy, then, like,
Yeah.
I don't care about anything, and then because there are levels of happy, like, when you get a toy you wanted for a really long time and you get it, you're gonna be, like, super ecstatic, right? But other times you get to watch a TV show that you liked and it made you smile, and that's happy.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah.
and then there's different levels of disappointment or anger. And so, you don't want to have too many of them, but it's showing them, like, if a kid's really upset, well, are you this upset or that upset?
Right.
Right? And then they learn, like, okay, well, if I'm only this upset, I don't need to have a tantrum about it. Right? It helps them to learn to regulate within a scale,
Right. Right.
as opposed to just, everything is a 10.
Mm.
It can't, because it can't
Right.
be. And I think it
Right.
helps them. And then you can work through, like, well, when you're feeling super angry, what's going to make you feel better?
Right.
And when you're, and I say, okay, last time when this happened and you felt that way, remember in like 5 minutes you got over it? And we remind them of how they're
Yes.
learning to be resilient and they're learning coping mechanisms.
That's a great idea. And I know I've talked on the show with some people, especially a professor at one of the universities in the psychology department, about how children are so intuitive, and we most of us know that anyway. And at very young ages, many actually see spirit and those sorts of things. But that's another subject. And they're so
What a great subject.
intuitive, and they, even in the sense where they just get feelings like that person, I don't want to be around that person, negative vibes about someone, and how important it is
Mm.
to validate that too. Their discernment,
Yeah.
their level of discernment.
I wish that your podcast had been out when I was raising my kids when they were really young, because I've personally learned so much from it. And honestly,
That's
like, I
nice.
love it. And I mean, it's so insightful. And I'm just so thrilled to be a guest on your podcast because I love it so much.
Thank
Um,
you.
but, you know, when Hudson, my son, was little, he had exactly what you're talking about. You know, we didn't know it until somehow there was a conversation and he said, yeah, I see colors around people. And we were like, you what? You know, and so the fact that he saw, and learning that after the fact made so much sense, because there, you know, he was very selective as to who he wanted to hang out with. And there are things would happen and he would not want to be in the room with somebody. And he just got this sense. And, you know, I wish I had understood that more. I might have respected it more, you know?
Right.
And so that if you are listening and you have little children who are responding in that sort of way, just, you know, you don't need to go into the whole thing. Are you seeing auras? Are you like, what is the feeling you're getting? But just know that they are, and just respect it.
Yes. And let them know that you believe them. And I
Mhm.
think it also helps them, and listen, I'm the same as you. When mine, I have learned so much in the last few years, and my kids are grown, well, they're 21, but I think that, or I don't think, I know that also by listening, appreciating, believing, and validating, that it's really important for children to build their inner strength, or to trust their inner guidance, because there's so much. Us, our young are going through so much today. I mean, the levels of anxiety and all of this. And if they learn that as a very young child, that they can go inward and just have some tools to help themselves, um, just navigate the world in a more positive, I hate to say a more positive way, but what do you say about that?
Yeah, I think you're right. I think it all starts like what we talked about with understanding your own emotions and
Right,
just accepting your own emotions. You know,
right.
and once you do and you're comfortable with yourself, then you can start to be more empathetic and notice those feelings in other people. And so
Yes,
that's a kinder way. I mean, we all want to teach empathy to our children. But I think,
absolutely.
how do you understand how someone else is feeling if you don't understand those feelings yourself first?
Which brings up the whole modeling. Like, what do they see you do
Mhm.
when you see a hurt animal and you're in a
Right.
rush to go get your coffee? What do they see you do when you go by the homeless person, or you see a butterfly, or whatever it might be?
It could be any,
They
you know, just even like the little, you know, random acts of kindness. And they don't have to be big things, you know, and we all can handle one random act of kindness a day, you know,
Yes,
that are little. And the
I
more you
guess.
talk about them, and wow, if you're with your kid and you help someone across the street, or you're on the bus and you tell someone, wow, I love your sweater. That is so beautiful. And you see them beam and feel so
Yeah,
good. It's just, that's it.
it's
And yet
so
you
true.
made someone feel good.
Right, right. I've always thought that how beautiful it would be if, and I think we should do this. This is something that I'm going to spearhead because I'm so passionate about it. But teach children about the life review. And all of us should learn about the life review. It can be called different things, but that's
Mhm.
basically, as you've heard on some of my podcasts, after someone has a near death experience, they come back and talk about how what the judging is that you see a snapshot of your life. And in that, you see everything you've done that has made people happy, but probably even more importantly, when you've hurt someone and you can actually feel how your actions made that other person
Mhm.
feel. So to be able, I mean, that's empathy, right? So to
Yeah.
be able to, I think about that all the time now, just how, no matter what you're doing, how you're making that other person feel.
Yeah, I think that's great. And I think that if you do something that, you know, when you were frustrated or angry and you react in a way that you're not pleased with, to talk about it.
Exactly, which
Say
we
like,
will.
hey, you know what? I was in such a state that I reacted in a way I'm not proud of, and I could see it really upset you or hurt your feelings, or I said something or whatever, whether you're talking to a child or your partner or someone at work or literally anybody.
Yeah,
I mean, we've all snapped at people. Whether it's a waitress or, we all
absolutely.
have
We're
those, right? And
human.
we're human. Right. But then to apologize for it
Yes,
is that's the next step. And then, people appreciate that so
yes.
much.
And children to know that adults can make mistakes too,
Yes, so important.
so important. So to segue a little bit, let's talk about this time with all the kids at home, and let's get into the parenting mentoring part of it. Why don't you, can you give us some ideas of what you suggest how parents deal with having the whole family underfoot and kind of the energies that are going on?
Yeah, it's hard. Let's start there. You know?
Yes.
Okay, I'm done. No.
Deal with it.
Yeah, exactly.
This
Okay,
is what
no,
we do.
yeah, this is our friendship. So
Yes, yes.
we had to throw in some joke here or there.
Yes, yes,
Um,
absolutely.
anyway, I think that depending on your children's ages, that you have to recognize, what you can and cannot do. I
Mhm.
always suggest that if you have set goals for yourself, whether for your business or for going through closets or photo albums or who knows what it is, whatever those goals are, hopefully, and in most cases, it's possible that you just say, okay, you know what? I'm going to take those goals and I'm going to move them forward 3 months or 6 months, and and be okay with that, because
Yes.
and that becomes this huge weight that's lifted off your shoulders. So that's like one really big thing. I mean, I've personally done that, and and it's really helpful.
Absolutely.
Because
I
now
love that.
I've kind of given myself the time and the space to say, okay, well, I'm now become a housekeeper also, and I need time for that. And now, what was something that I kind of resented having to do, I look forward to it in the morning now. I go downstairs, I empty the dishwasher, I clean the countertops, I put everything away, and I have my kitchen is nice and clean.
Yes.
Fortunately, my son does all the dishes at night and cleans up the kitchen pretty much. But then, all the stuff needs to be put away. And so now I like have a new routine, and I throw stuff in the laundry, and like, and I don't mind. Like, it actually feels good and empowering and productive. And then I
Right.
know I can get to my work. And also now I take a walk every day, which also feels great. And I think, we're very fortunate that this is happening during spring. And, spring to me is this very spiritual time
Yes.
anyway, of rebirth and beauty. And in a way, it's like the universe is telling us something, with the fact,
Yeah.
the advent of spring. And here we are and saying, slow down, reevaluate, and look at your children. My guess as a layperson is that anxiety in children and young and adolescents is going to go down significantly, because they're no longer on this crazy race to this activity and that activity and get your homework done and practice your instrument, and now you have to go to play in this game. And then, I mean, these kids don't have a moment to breathe.
Right.
Now all of a sudden families are sitting down together for dinner, and they have time and conversation and go outside and literally smell the flowers,
Yes, yes.
go outside like with your kids and look at the buds on the trees, and take a picture with your phone every day, or let them, and every day, and then you can see how it changes little by little by little. And I thought it was like so fun to do that, and then make like a little flip book, you know
Yeah, that's a
to
great
see, like, or
idea.
measure the flowers coming out of the ground every day, and see how, I mean, there's just so many amazing opportunities for us and for our children to, you know, it sounds corny to say like be part of the earth, but I think you know what I mean.
Oh, I know, reconnect with Mother Earth. It's something that we really need to do. And it's interesting because someone was on the show today and they were talking about these bodies of water that are becoming just cleaner already, and these other environmental things that are happening that are just cleaning up Mother Earth. And absolutely, and let our children understand the importance of
Mhm.
that. I totally understand.
Yeah. I mean, so that's all great.
Right.
However, you still have your kids at home who
Yes,
are, I'm sure the listeners are going, yeah, but, you know,
but
like my kids want to go outside and they want to see their friends and they want to do this and they want to go there. And so one of the best things I think we can do is like, yeah, I don't blame you, and I think a lot of kids may start to internalize this the way life is going to be forever. And since we have no answer as to when this is going to be over and to when this is going to happen, I recommend like, and if we can even do this for ourselves, like you get a jar and every time someone says, "Oh, I wish I could do this," or "I really want to do that," or you say, "Okay, write it down and put it in the jar." And, you know, these are all the things when this is over, these are all the things we're going to get to do. And
I
so,
love that.
it's a kind of a positive way. It's not saying
Yes.
you can't do it. Sorry. I don't know when you can, but it's just like, hey, write it down and put it in the jar because that sounds really fun.
Right, something to look forward to, and yeah,
Yeah, you can
and that
also
itself could turn into a game, you know?
yeah, but it's like, cool, and then it's like, well, what are we gonna do first?
Right, right.
And then you can also have another jar that when your kids are doing something that they enjoy, where you can sit with them and make a list of all the things they like to do by themselves or at home or in their backyard or whatever your situation is, and write those down and put those in a jar too. So when they're like, I'm bored, I don't have anything to do, say, or you need them to spend some time doing something, hey, you get to go pull something out of that jar.
Yes,
So it's fun in both ways, you're
right.
kind of making it as positive as possible.
Yeah, I actually went out. You're going to understand this because you know my kids. I bought Matt 2 Lego sets, and he's 21 years
Oh,
old, and he loves it. He sets and works on his Legos, and
oh my God,
it
that is
just it
amazing.
just warms my heart. It's so fun.
Well, I printed out today my university has these like great, someone did these great drawings of different parts of the university and they're just black and white and they're meant to be like for a coloring book. And
Right.
I printed out 3 sets and I'm going to give one to each of my kids since they go there too. And I asked my friend who sent them, I'm like, so do you want to wager on the reactions?
Well, I'm not following. What do you mean? You
They're
mean
like color sheets like that
at the university
of
of
the universe, and they're cool pictures and you
of
can color them in.
oh, the university of where they're going?
Yes, has
Oh,
these.
oh, got it, got it.
So,
Okay.
but I think
Yeah,
it's cool that I don't know how they're gonna
right,
feel,
right.
but
Um, I think another, and speaking of coloring, I interviewed someone, Rabbi Sandy Sasso, the other day, and she's I guess you would say an interfaith rabbi. That sounds like an
yeah.
oxymoron, but she's just an amazing woman. And she wrote the book, God's Paintbrush. And it's
Hmm.
all about children, asking them questions to expand their minds about, draw a picture of what you think the wind feels like, or what love looks like, or the universe and God, or
Mm.
whatever word you'd like to use,
Yeah.
light, God, source. And I just thought that it's just, I suggest to my listeners to look it up because it's really a magical book. one that opens up a lot of really interesting questions and discussions, and for both you and the very young. So, but the coloring, and I know you talk about some things to get your kids involved in with, you know, involved in. So why don't you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, I think this is a really good opportunity, and everyone's so worried about like their kids falling behind or doing
Mm,
worksheets in the home classes. And I say take a deep breath, do what's possible, give them the worksheets, let them do class, but don't be on their backs to do everything perfectly. I mean, they have to learn to internalize this anyway. And this is a great time because, grades are different. And I mean, actually a really great time for them to take on a little more responsibility with the school stuff. And if they don't, and if it's not there, like there's a learning curve. And as your kids get older, the learning gets much faster
mm,
and easier. And so I would say take this opportunity to teach your kids things that they're not learning in school. And
yes.
whether it's life skills like doing the laundry and, you know, helping around the house, I don't like to call them chores. I call them family contributions, but just the
Of course you do.
yeah. But you know what? It's like, hey, we're all in this together and
Right.
everyone needs to contribute because, you know, we're a family and
Yeah.
everybody participates and we're all on a team.
And it
If
can be
you
so
have
much fun.
Yeah, if you have little kids, or me, not like once they're teenagers, they're going to roll their eyes at you about this, I think. But, you know, I love the team metaphor because, everyone knows what it means to be on a team. Everyone helps each other and everyone
Yeah.
supports each other. And we are all in this together. And so give your family a name, come up with a team name, you
I
know,
love it.
and, the coach can, each week you can have a different coach and you can do different drills. And so maybe one week it's laundry drill and one week it's sweeping drill. And, you can
Love it.
really like take this as far as you want.
Yeah. Have a
And
mascot.
yeah,
Dog's the
exactly.
mascot.
And and uniforms, you can pick the colors, someone can design it. Like, I mean,
Right.
it really could be fun. And then like if you have another family, you can even like have games,
Right, right,
where
right.
like let's see who does the laundry better, or let's see who can do it faster, or
Yeah.
have the kids competing with their friends.
Yeah,
And
those things are such great ideas. I remember when my kids were little, I don't know where I came up with this, but how musical chairs where you turn on the music
yeah.
and then yeah. So we did chores acting like it was musical so I turned the music on and everybody would like do whatever they were and turn it off and everybody would have to freeze and
Musical
then turn it
chores.
back on and yeah, musical cleaning or
No,
musical
musical chores.
musical contributions.
That doesn't work.
No, no. But those are great ideas. Yeah.
Even you can do like if you want to cook something together, bake something together, and then you can do a taste test. So like try two
Yeah.
different chocolate chip cookie recipes or two different grilled cheese recipes, try different cheeses. And I
Yeah.
mean, they're learning so much through cooking and through, even the tasting part, and you blindfold, like that is a mindfulness exercise,
Yes. Yes.
and so do some of that stuff too. Close their eyes and have them smell different seasonings or, herbs and that you're going to put in the food, and all that stuff like is increasing their senses,
Yes, and
and
their
it's all
intuition in there. Yeah.
mindfulness.
It's very true. Also, it's such a great time to bring in, I will call spiritual practices. Do some deep breathing together, do some visualization. It's so fun to do yoga with the little ones and make that part of your day and let
Mhm.
and let them see that it's really important to you too. What you do to quiet your mind to be a little bit more present.
And even like the gratitude exercise that
Yes.
everybody says one thing that they're thankful for every day. You know, we could do it in the morning
Mhm.
and at night or just once, but just like getting your kids thinking. And if you don't do it yourself, it's a great thing to do. I mean, there's been, and it's like based in research that it really does make a difference to your mindset
Right. It's the
to
highest
be,
vibration,
yeah, to be able
gratitude.
to say like what you're lucky for, even during this time, which is so difficult for so many people. There still are these silver linings to be
Right.
had. And I think focusing on those, you know, which while I know it can be really hard if you have little kids running around and you're trying to work and, you know, the responsibilities of taking care of a home, it's really, really, really hard. But when you can find a little time to just think about one thing that you're thankful for, even can be
Right.
really helpful.
So true. And I also think that this is not coming from a religious stance at all. And I know some people don't like the word pray because some use it
Mm.
just kind of as a word, but to think, I think it's really important for myself anyway, and for my children to know there's something bigger than us. That something is holding us in this, and there's just something bigger than us. And I think it's a beautiful time at night or before dinner or eating, if you want to call it a prayer or a time of thanks. It's exactly what you're talking about, really
Mhm.
gratitude, but just bringing that into the mix also. I think it's really important and comforting.
Yeah, and also like aside from the gratitude, you know, when you do sit down together, you know, and as you know, you can be the leader in this initially, is that you thank the other people at the table for something, you
Yes.
know, and it doesn't have to be big, you know. Thank you, sweetie, for making me laugh today.
Right.
Thanks for, you know, picking up your pajamas. Thanks for, you know, working so hard in your office, even though, you know, I could have used your help a lot and you weren't there to help me, but whatever, you know, but no,
Well,
you just say thank you. I know that you're working really hard for us,
right.
or, you know, and then it teaches your kids to think about that too. And
Yes.
everyone begins to appreciate everybody a little bit more. And I think
Yeah.
that's a, you know, it's a little easy thing to do, but it's a big learning thing that you
It's
now
what we're
have
here
time
for.
sitting at dinner together to like these
Yeah.
are the like the things that you really want your kids to learn. You want them to be capable, kind, loving, giving people. And you have the time and to be resilient and to have coping mechanisms and good problem solving skills. And now's the time, man, to learn all this stuff.
Yeah. For them to just, that was so beautifully said. And that unconditional love and
Mhm.
helping others, that's what's really important in life. So, well, listen, we need to wrap it up, but it's so wonderful to have you on the show. Is there anything you would like to share that I didn't ask you?
I don't think so. I mean, you know,
Okay.
I could talk
Yeah.
forever, but yeah,
We'll do
I
that
think we
later.
covered a right. We covered a lot.
Well, Sue, thank you so much. And if people want to find you, how would they do that?
You can check out my website, which is theparentingmentor.com. I'm on Instagram at the Parenting Mentor, and I give a little tip usually every day, really easy, non-judgmental stuff. You'll find out about my book on my website and everything I do. So yeah,
Yeah, well,
now.
thank you so, so much. And I really suggest to our listeners to run out and get her book. It's just a really
Well, don't run
fun,
out now.
helpful. Yeah, don't run out now, but maybe get it on Amazon or something. But anyway, well, listen, you have a wonderful day. Big hugs to Bill and Hudson and Victoria and Nico. And I'm sure we'll talk. I think we have a happy hour scheduled here someday
Good.
soon.
Yeah. All right.
Okay,
Thank you so
sweetie.
much for inviting
Thank
me to
you,
be
good
on.
friend. You're
Really.
very
Thank you.
welcome. Okay,
Love you.
bye-bye.